Okay, I imagine the pitch for this movie going something like, hey, I want to drive really fast cars. Okay, that's neat, Brad, but what's that got to do with us? Well, I'm going to have the guy who just directed Top Gun Maverick direct me driving really fast cars. Okay, I'm in.
I'm doing an impression. Well, you suck at impressions.
Hello and welcome back to The Rank. I'm John, and today we're going to be ranking F1 the movie, starring Brad Pitt, Damson Idris, Kerry Condon, and Javier Bardem, with a story from Joseph Kosinski, who also directed it, and Aaron Kruger, who also wrote the screenplay. I picked this movie originally because it was receiving Oscar buzz before it came out, so I wanted to be prepared for the eventual Best Picture nominees. It was also listed as an action movie, so I figured I'd rank it as an action movie, right? And I'd have the Best Picture ranking ready as well. Now that I've seen it, it's not going to be nominated for Best Picture, which is not a knock on it. It's fine. It's just not that type of movie. Also, it doesn't really fit the action movie genre. It's more of a sports movie. So as you'll hear / see when we get to the rank segment, I'm ranking this as a sports movie with specific categories for that. I think that will fit better and aligns with my goal to rank movies based on their genres as opposed to just ranking them against all other movies. So if you're enjoying these rankings or you just like the idea of getting a review of a sports movie based on it being a sports movie, please consider subscribing and or following, liking, and reviewing. Please put any of your comments, questions, suggestions into the comment section or email the show. And if you super duper like it, you're like, yeah, I'm really into this guy for some unknown reason, consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TheRankPodcast. All right, let's see how this one turned out, starting with the Potent Notables.
Potent Notables.
So as always, the Potent Notables start with the movie's financials. It came out this past weekend, 2 weekends ago. Last weekend for me, 2 weekends ago for you. So for its first weekend, it garnered $57 million domestically and $89.3 million internationally for a worldwide total of $146.3 million. So this is against a budget of $200 million, which is just crazy. So even though the budget is huge, it does appear that this movie has a good chance to make money. I mean, it already has 146.3. I think it'll probably make it to 400 million. Now, part of that $200 million budget, Brad Pitt got his largest salary of his career, $30 million.
Ooh, that's a lot of money.
But they covered his salary plus some in sponsorships. Forbes estimated that the film made $40 million from sponsorships and brand deals. Now, of course, part of the issue that caused the budget to balloon was delays, one of which being the actors and writers' strikes. Although Brad got some heat because even though the production was supposedly shut down, it was actually still filming at the Hungaroring.
I don't know what he's saying, but he's funny.
Whatever the race is in Hungary for F1, in June 2023. So they said it was shut down, but it wasn't actually shut down, and then they shut it down in July. Filming took place during various Grand Prix weekends during the 2023 and 2024 seasons. During the weekend of the British Grand Prix in July 2024 at Silverstone, UK. Now, thanks to the strike, Joseph Kosinski said they had over 5,000 hours of footage and they had almost 2 years to edit because of the strikes, which allowed them to get it right. 5,000 hours of footage? That's too much footage.
Way too much.
Now, Brad Pitt has long been an avid fan of auto racing. Pitt was originally set to star alongside Tom Cruise in Go Like Hell, with Joseph Kosinski directing. But the project fell apart due to budget reasons and later became Ford versus Ferrari. Pitt has since produced and narrated the MotoGP documentary Hitting the Apex in 2015. And in 2016, Pitt had the honor of taking a lap around the circuit before starting the 24 Hours of Le Mans in France. Quote, Tom and I, for a while there, were on Ford versus Ferrari with Joe, as in Joe Kosinski. This was about 10 years before the guys who actually made it and made it a great movie. What it came down to is that we both wanted to drive, and he wanted to play Shelby, and I wanted to play Ken Miles. And when Tom realized that Carroll Shelby would not be driving much in that movie, it didn't come through, end quote. So yeah, basically, Tom drive fast or Tom no work. That's kind of the deal. Although it does appear as though both Brad and Tom really wanted to drive. So this next Potent Notable may be a small spoiler, but it happens at the very beginning of the movie. So if you really feel like this is a spoiler, then I've spoiled the first 10 minutes for you. Sorry. Anyway, at the beginning of the movie, they decided the best way to show that Sonny, Brad Pitt's character, still has it is to have him win the Rolex 24 called the Daytona 24 in the movie. The producers requested that they be able to win the race, the actual race. The IMSA, or the International Motor Sports Association, said, sure, as long as they entered as a competitor straight up with no favoritism, and if they had enough funding, they could field multiple competitive cars and have a real shot at winning. So, of course, the producers were like, how about instead of that, we have a dedicated car with the sole purpose of filming race action. They were going to have the car intermittently return to the garage to change out different filming components, then rejoin the race. And then the IMSA was like, no. So what they ended up doing was partnering with a team, with that team carrying multiple cameras to capture the race footage. And that team was Wright Motorsports, that's WRIGHT. And don't get your hopes up though, Brad's laps in the car weren't in the race itself, and the team they were following didn't win. They came in 26th out of 59. All right, so last quote notable. To this end, Apple created custom cameras to mount on the race cars, and they were operated by a special remote control designed by Panavision. Each car had 15 camera mounts and could hold up to 4 cameras at a time. To keep the cars unencumbered by extra weight, the cameras were only 10 centimeters by 10 centimeters in size, a quarter of the size of the cameras used for Top Gun Maverick. So there you go. Those are the potent notables. Let's go on to the movie overview. Okay, I imagine the pitch for this movie going something like, hey, I want to drive really fast cars. Okay, that's neat, Brad, but what's that got to do with us? Well, I'm going to have the guy who just directed Top Gun Maverick direct me driving really fast cars. Okay, I'm in.
I'm doing an impression. Well, you suck at impressions.
That's how I envision the pitch anyway. So that's what this movie is, and it certainly doesn't hide it. Brad plays Sonny, a guy who still wants to race but is well past his prime, though we as the audience already know he's still got it in him. I mean, naturally, right? This isn't Rocky 5. Well, actually, kind of is. Well, maybe it's more Rocky 3 if Rocky was Apollo and also Rocky. Anyway, enough of that. Sonny's old friend Ruben, played by Javier Bardem, who has a lot more money than Sonny, has started an F1 team, and he wants Sonny to help him out because his board has the right to get rid of the team if he doesn't win a race in the first 3 years. And guess what? They're in the 3rd season, and they still haven't won a race. Ruben just knows Sonny can get them across the finish line. But not only does he believe that he can get them across the finish line, but help Ruben's rookie driver, Joshua, played by Damson Idris, become the star he's meant to be. Will the grizzled vet be a team player, or will he be out for himself? Will the rookie get his head out of his ass? Will Ruben have to sell the team? And if those aren't enough stakes for you, don't worry. There's going to be a couple more relating to getting the girl and a medical issue. And I have not spoiled it. I went into this one thinking it would be good. I went into it thinking it would be something it wasn't. I have these lists that I pay attention to for Oscar buzz movies. Now, of course, they can't know before they actually come out, but it helps me to know if I should watch them so that I'm not scrambling come Oscars time. What I watched was not an Oscar bait movie. I think that colored it a little bit for me at first, but throughout the movie, I let go of that expectation and just sat back and enjoyed the ride, so to speak. So if you're looking for brain food, expect candy, and you'll be all right.
Everybody loves candy.
Brad Pitt continues to be a charming movie star, still looking good at 61 years old. Like Tom Cruise, I wonder how much more he's got in him. I enjoy his movies. Maybe not so much the news he makes with regards to domestic status, but I don't know the details on that, so I don't want to opine necessarily, though I will say it sure doesn't seem good. Anyway, from his personal story not seeming good to his movie actually being pretty darn good, let's go to the rank.
A rank.
So the rank is where I rank the movie based on 10 categories, which some are new because this is I've never ranked a sports movie before. But these categories are going to be story, acting, originality, sports sequences, that's a new one, film coherence, character relatability, underdog energy, new one, production value, the final play, another new one, and my rank. Now I rank it on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. And the first category is story, which I gave a 3. Now 3 may in equal parts seem too high and too low. It's sort of a classic story, and so therefore it should be higher because we've always historically enjoyed it, right? But it's also kind of lazy to just be like, here's every sports movie ever in a new sport. This is why I'm a little ambivalent, because it's not like I didn't like it, but it was definitely not the best story I've ever seen. Next category is acting, which I gave a 4. Now, I don't know if it was the acting or the writing, but at times it definitely felt very cheesy, like in a paint by numbers type of way. I don't know how to explain it. It felt like they were saying, and now we say this in this type of movie. It wasn't all the time, but it was enough to dock at some points. Otherwise, the acting was great. Next category is originality, which I gave a 2. I mean, let's face it, the only original thing about this movie is that they decided to do F1. And that's where the originality stops and starts. Next category is sports sequences, which I gave a 5. Okay, new category here. The idea is, were the sequences fitting for the sport? Were they exciting? Questions like that, and the answer is hell yes. The racing sequences here are incredible and worth the price of admission, in my opinion. So let's go to film coherence, which I gave a 4. It was good. It was so by the book that it almost felt like it wasn't good coherence because you just knew where it was headed. Although I will say that I wasn't 100% sure how they were going to handle the end of the final race. So they kept me guessing a little bit. But let's go to character relatability, which I gave a 3.75. Now, every character has meaningful enough motivations except Joshua. We see him with his mom and his cousin, who's also his manager, and he says he worked like hell to get there and whatnot, but we never really get a sense of who he is. He's just sort of a generic rookie who needs mentoring. It just sort of hurts his relatability because I don't know where his motivations come from. Later on, he gets more relatable because something happens and the audience can understand why he's feeling the way he's feeling. So he gets a little bit of a boost towards the end there. Everybody else is good to pretty good. So let's go to the next category, another new category, underdog energy. So what's the crux of any good sports movie? We're watching someone that nobody expects to win. And here we are again. This movie has excellent underdog energy. I was absolutely rooting for the underdog the whole time. I gave it a 4.5. So production value is the next one, which I gave a 4.25. I mean, they spent $200 million and you can definitely feel that money when you're watching the movie. I think the areas where production value is hurt is in the same area where character relatability is hurt. Joshua. He and his mom live in the most nondescript apartment ever. I'm not sure who lives there. And this is part of the problem, right? Because it's just like, so does his mom have money and they have like a really nice apartment, or is she living in his apartment, or is she visiting his apartment? It's never really spelled out. And it's just like this really, it's like a milquetoast apartment. It has no personality whatsoever. I just think there could have been a little bit more personal touch in their living space to give us a sense of who they are besides fastidiously clean, apparently. You know, everything else is really good. I mean, it's just, they spent $200 million. So let's go to the final play, another new category. I gave that a 4.5. So it's a little bit of a twist on the final showdown in the action movie series. But in every sports movie, there's always the final match or the final game or the final whatever word works for your sport of choice. And in this case, the final race. And this one does not disappoint. If we could experience auto racing the way we can in this movie, I bet it would be an even bigger sport than it already is. That's besides the point though. This movie's finale is fantastic, even though it feels a little generic. But it feels that way because that's the way it works best. And this movie, as I've said, is nothing if not by the numbers. Still really good though. Anyway, last category, my rank. And I gave it a 4. So the fact that it's by the numbers, see Bull Durham, Hoosiers, etc., decreases the score a little bit for me, but it doesn't change the fact that it was a lot of fun and it was exhilarating. If you enjoy sports movies, you'll enjoy this one. If you enjoy auto racing movies, you'll love this one. So that puts the total for F1 the movie at 39, which puts it in the tier Supreme Cinema. So thanks for listening, everybody, and or watching. If you'd like to see a list of our episode series rankings, you do that on our website at therankpodcast.com. Remember to subscribe, review, and comment, and please consider supporting us on our Patreon site at patreon.com/therankpodcast. And you'll get access to all of our archived episodes. Okay, that's the checkered flag. Hope to see you Thursday when I rank the 9th episode of The Studio. That's better, right, Antonio? Yeah, I think that's better.
No, whoa, no. Just keep the clothes on, okay, buddy?